Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to be making the blue ribbon recipe of a fresh peach pie. The recipe sounds really delicious. I can't wait to try it. So these are some beautiful fresh peaches that I picked this morning off of my tree. These are my mini pixie peach tree, and the peaches are just to die for. They're so delicious. So I think this is gonna make a really nice pie. So today's recipe for the fresh peach pie comes from my grandma's blue ribbon cookbook. And the recipe that we're doing has won awards at the Delaware County State Fair, the Lewis Center, and the Ohio State Fair. So sounds like it might be a good recipe. So I'm gonna start on the crust and then I'll start working on my peaches. So the first thing that it says to do is take 1.5 cups of flour and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and you're gonna sift those together. And so we're gonna just put these into a little strainer here, and we'll just sift them together. So there we go. We have some nice sifted flour. You know, I don't really sift my flour anymore. I used to when I was in cooking school in high school, but wow, it really does make the flour nice and airy, and it's beautiful. Now the next thing it tells you to do is to cut in 1/2 cup of Crisco. So I'm just going to put this in here, get it all out. And again, I'm used to using butter, so this is a little different than anything I've done before. But actually, I think in cooking school, when I was in high school, I think back then everybody used Crisco. All right. So this looks pretty good. You've got nice little bite-sized pieces in here, kind of the size of peas. So we're going to take that, and now we're going to add 4 to 5 tablespoons of cold water. So I actually take ice and put it in my cup, and I just put that in and, you know, try to get that as cold as possible. So I'm going to start with 3 cups. You know, you just keep adding water until you get it the consistency that you want. The Crisco is a lot different than the butter. It even has a different feel. All right, I think I can roll this out. So we're gonna form this into a ball, which there we go. We have a nice ball forming, and it's actually very flaky looking already. Looks very good. And for me, I want to slice this dough in half. So let me do that. So it doesn't say anything in this recipe about refrigerating the dough. I typically refrigerate it for about 1/2 hour, but I'm gonna do it just like the book says, and I'm just gonna roll it out. So all I'm gonna do is just form this together into a little ball. And I'm gonna roll it out, see how this works. So I usually do this on saran wrap, which I may do, I haven't decided yet. Okay, well, let's just start rolling it out and let's see what happens. Looks like it rolls pretty good. So I think what I'm gonna do is turn this over and just to check to see if anything's sticking. It looks pretty good. A little bit more flour down, like so. I'm just gonna keep rolling this out. I need it to fit a 9-inch pan. I think the next one, I'm actually going to do this on the what's it called? The plastic. Because it does just seem like it's sticking more than usual. All right, now I've got it between my plastic. I just think it always makes it a little bit easier to roll it out in the plastic. I don't know about this one though. It's a little different. I don't know. All right, let's put this down and see what we got. It's this is a very sticky dough using this Crisco. I don't know if it'd make a difference if you did refrigerate it. I might refrigerate the top one and just see what happens. It just seems really hard to work with. I don't know. But we're doing it the authentic way. So we'll see how it goes. All right. I don't know about this. Yeah, looks like we got a bottom crust. I'm going to refrigerate the second half of this and just see if it makes it a little bit easier to roll out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to peel my peaches. So I've got some water that I'm going to be boiling. I've got some ice water here that I'm going to dip them into when I peel them, and I'm just going to add a little bit of lemon juice to keep them from oxidizing after you take the skins off. Okay, I've got some hot water, so I'm going to start putting my peaches in here. I don't want to cook them, so I don't really care that the water is scalding, boiling hot. I just want the skins to come off. And I measured 2.5 cups, and it fit perfectly into this bowl. So this is what I'm going to actually slice the peaches into as soon as I get all the skins off. So typically you just want to leave the peaches in here for about a minute. The water isn't boiling, so I might leave them in like 1.5 minutes. I just want to make sure that these skins come off easily. Now you could actually make the peach pie with the skins on it. This is just a preference that I have. I prefer to have all the skins off of them. You just want to see the skin just coming away from the peach, and you know that the peach is, you know, all ready to slice and prepare. This is going to be the best pie. I don't think there's anything better than a fresh piece of fruit right off the tree. It's just absolutely delicious. So I don't slice these right away. I just take the skins off and I put them right back in the cold water. I want them to sit in the lemon juice for a little while. So I think these are good. I'm going to take these out and kind of measure them and see how much I get for my, you know, for that bowl. See if I need to, you know, get any more of these peelings off. Whatever I don't peel that I picked today, I'm going to actually take to my daughter-in-law's house. And she loves fresh fruit and fresh peaches, and so do the kids. So we'll, yeah, those are cool enough to handle. These all peeled, so all I'm going to do now is just slice them and put them in my bowl so I can get an idea of how many peaches I have. I'm going to put my knife down so I don't hurt myself. So these are my pixie peaches. And they're looking really good. I've been picking quite a few for some friends and family. And when I went out this morning, I've still got so many peaches. Unbelievable. I think I'm gonna move this camera over. Move this so you can just see the size that I peel these into. Just little sliced peaches like so. And I think this is going to be more than enough peaches for today. Now I did put a paper towel in my bowl, and I'm going to put a paper towel on the top of my bowl because I just want to make sure that I can get as much of this juice off as possible before I put it in the pie. This is actually a peach pie that you're going to be cooking everything together. You're not cooking the crust ahead of time. So we don't want everything so mushy that, you know, it ends up being a real watery pie. So here's a little one of my little pixie peaches. Oh my goodness. Okay, my peaches are all peeled and sliced and cut up. And so all I'm gonna do now, I've kind of got some of the water out of these peaches, or the moisture. So I'm just gonna put these into a bowl, like so. Just like that. And then I'm going to add a cup of sugar. And I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of instant tapioca. Let's put that right over it. Now I'm going to let this sit for just a minute while I make my top crust. I just want to roll it out, and then I'm going to put this in, put the crust on, and we'll be ready to put it in the oven. Okay, I've had this in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes. And again, I'm just going to kind of form it into a ball and get it started here. And I'm just gonna roll it out. Try it again without the plastic wrap. I think that did help quite a bit, putting it in the refrigerator. I've always done that even with a butter crust, and I think it just makes it a little bit easier when you're trying to roll everything out. All right. Like when I make a 2-crust pastry dough with the butter that I make from Betty Crocker, I never really have a problem with there not being enough crust. This just seems like such a thin crust. I don't know. It's better now that I'm doing the, now that I'm, you know, had it in the refrigerator, but I don't know, it's gonna be a very thin crust. I kind of like the thick crust. That to me makes a really good pie. I don't know. I probably will stick with the butter crust. Not only are they easier to work with, I think they're just, I don't know, we'll see. You know, I haven't done the taste test yet, so I really don't know. All right, so what I'm gonna do with this, let me make sure nothing's sticking. I'm gonna fold it over like so. Just make sure I have a little bit of flour, because I'm gonna make a little design with this little pie design maker that I have. And then we're gonna put it on our peach pie. And I'll show you how this all comes together. So I have this little, I don't know what you even call it. It's just a little thing. You can make a design on your pie crust. You just push it right in like so. Pull it up. And you do the same thing on the other side, like so. I'm going to cut out a couple of these holes so that we have that for our pie crust, but all I'm going to do is move that over like that. So all I'm going to do is take the sharp end of a knife and just pull out a couple of these little rows. All right, so that's how it looks when you get all of your little pieces taken out. So all I'm gonna do at this point is just kind of tuck this little top crust in a little bit. Now I'm still gonna have probably some leakage just because it's a big fruity pie, but I'm gonna tuck it in the best I can, and I'm probably gonna put some foil under it along with a pan, just to make sure if it leaks that I can take care of that. It doesn't ruin my oven. And I wanted to just make a note, you know, when I was taking these little pieces out, you know, you really have to work quickly if you're doing something like this, because this Crisco just doesn't hold together like the, you know, like a regular pie crust. It gets warmer quicker, and the middle part was actually very hard to kind of get this little piece out. But anyway, all I'm gonna do for the edge of the crust is just use the, you know, the little method where I, you know, poke my finger, I make kind of a thick edge here, try to keep in as much of the peach pie as possible. All right, so the next step we're gonna do is we're just gonna take a little bit of egg wash, very little, but I added a little bit of water to an egg, and all I'm gonna do is just, you know, go along the top of the crust, and just, it'll help it brown, it'll give it some color. It just always looks really pretty when you do a nice egg wash. All right, I think that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna take a little bit of sugar, very little, and I'm just gonna, beautiful. I'll show you as soon as it comes out. So your pie is gonna bake for 15 minutes at 400 degrees, and then as soon as you hit that 15 mark, bring the temperature down to 350, and you're gonna cook it for an additional half an hour. And you'll wanna check it. You mainly wanna make sure that that pie crust is done, and you'll see your peaches are gonna be all bubbly and delicious. Here's my beautiful pie. You can see that it's kind of bubbling around the edges there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The bottom part of the crust is nice and lightly browned, and I think this is gonna be a big hit tonight. So I'm gonna let this cool. I'm gonna take it to the party tonight, and I'll do a little taste test if I can, get away for a few minutes and just show you how the pie tastes. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in a little while. Just getting ready to start tasting the pie. Try my pie, my blue ribbon pie. That's very, very, very good.